Next, we're moving on to considerations for using antipsychotics in the geriatric population. We know that antipsychotics come with a variety of adverse effects. So some of these medications can cause alpha blockade, which can lead to orthostatic hypotension. That could be medications like quetiapine or clozapine. Medications can also have significant extrapyramidal side effects related to the D2 blockade, which can lead to gait disturbances, motor stiffness, tremor, akathisia, and tardive dyskinesia. A lot of these medications have antimuscarinic properties, which can lead to anticholinergic side effects. They can have antihistaminergic properties, which can lead to sedation, weight gain, the metabolic syndrome, as well as related to the antimuscarinic effects can lead to arrhythmia and QT prolongation. There's also an increased risk of vascular events or stroke with these medications as well. When we look at the cumulative annual incidence of tardive dyskinesia with conventional antipsychotics, we know that the use of these medications in older adults is associated with a higher risk of tardive dyskinesia. So these extrapyramidal side effects for tardive dyskinesia are more likely to happen with older adults. The starting doses for these medications, we're generally going to use about a quarter to half of the typical starting dose and titrate up. For antidepressants, we say start low, go slow, and don't stop. In the case of antipsychotics, we might think about start low, go slow, and maybe stop, especially in the setting of dementia. In dementia, we know that there is a black box warning for antipsychotics and that they're associated with increased mortality when used for the treatment of behavioral disorders in elderly patients with dementia. This is based on an analysis of 17 placebo-controlled trials with olanzapine, quetiapine, risperidone, and aripiprazole. And they found that use of these medications is associated with a 1.6 to 1.7-fold increase in mortality. And we know that these medications can be very helpful for some patients with behavioral disturbances and dementia, but they do come with this mortality side effect and risk. And that's generally due to cardiac risk, a stroke, or an aspiration event like an aspiration pneumonia. There are several studies that have been done that look at the number needed to harm. And harm in this study in particular is the risk of death at 6 months. And compared to non-antipsychotic users, patients with dementia who are newly initiated on antipsychotics, it only takes 8 patients treated with haloperidol before 1 death. In a study done by Helen Kales, it looked at survival after being newly exposed to an antipsychotic medication. And you can see these survival curves all going down after initiation. A little bit worse for medications like haloperidol and olanzapine, maybe a little bit better with medications like quetiapine. I'll mention a couple of unique antipsychotics as it relates to prescribing in older adults. Pimavanserin or Nuplazid is an atypical antipsychotic indicated for treatment of hallucinations and delusions associated with Parkinson's disease psychosis. It's an inverse agonist and also has antagonist activity at the serotonin receptor and has very little to no D2 blockade. It still carries the black box warning for increased mortality in dementia and also can cause QT prolongation. Common side effects include GI symptoms, peripheral edema, and confusion. And some people might ask, are there any advantages to using Pimavanserin over quetiapine in the treatment of hallucinations associated with Parkinson's disease? And I think it can be helpful for patients who still developed extrapyramidal side effects with quetiapine or have excessive sedation with that medication. It also avoids the blood monitoring required with Clozaril. Another medication is Brexpiprazole or Rexulti, which is an atypical antipsychotic that was recently approved by the US FDA in May of 2023 and became the first FDA-approved medication for treatment of agitation associated with Alzheimer's disease. This is a medication that is quite pricey. It can cost about $1,400 per month. I will mention that the studies that were done looked at a change in the Cohen-Mansfield Agitation Inventory Score, and found that it had about a 5-point improvement over placebo. This is a scale, though, that goes from 0 to 203. So a statistically significant improvement, but unclear the clinical improvement. So thinking about how that compares to some of the antipsychotics that are used to treat behavioral disturbances in dementia but are not FDA approved, that 5-point improvement is no better than the other medications. And in fact, it may be actually worse than some of the data that we have for risperidone. This medication still carries a black box warning for increased mortality in dementia. And in these studies, the risk of death was about 4 times higher in patients taking Brexpiprazole versus placebo over a 16-week period. These medications also associated with QTc prolongation as well. So some key points for this section: antipsychotics come with a host of side effects, including metabolic side effects, QT prolongation, and motor disturbances that need to be monitored. Antipsychotics are associated with an increased risk of mortality when used to treat dementia-related psychosis. Pimavanserin is a novel antipsychotic indicated to treat psychosis associated with Parkinson's disease, but it carries the same black box warning for increased mortality risk. Brexpiprazole is the first antipsychotic approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for treatment of agitation associated with Alzheimer's disease. However, the treatment effect is modest.